Hello and good morning, guys. Rather, let me say good morning, familia, and welcome to the Calmie African Diary Show right here on the Blackwood Fire Network, media for the 21st century. My name is Calmie, and this is the Calmie African Diary Show. And of course, I am looking forward to having a very interesting a show with the family. Let me know where you are tuning from, and let me also know how your week is, of course, going on. In Nairobi, it is already 17 minutes past 1 p.m. in Nairobi. And of course, I do understand that you do have a difference in timings, but irrespective, the show must continue. So rise and shine to those who are watching us, or rather listening to us from the diaspora. We really, really appreciate you. Remember, my name is Calmie, and this is the Calmie African Diary Show. And of course, you are returning to the Blackwood Fire Network media for the 21st century. You are tuned into the Black Hot Fire Network media for the 21st century. And you can simply get a hold of us by simply logging onto www.blackwoodfirenetwork.com. And once you are logged in, you can proceed and get to listen to the videos that do get that. Of course, we have done on various episodes right here on the Blackwood Fire website. And you can also proceed and get to like these videos. You can get to share the videos. You can also get to support the stream at Cash App, Mr. Black Hot Fire. And you can also get to donate at www.blackhotfirenetwork.com. Also, another thing that you can get to do once you are logged onto our website is that you can proceed and get, that is to listen to the music that gets to play on the Blackwood Fire website. You can also get to read the blogs. And last but not least, you can also get to download the app. It just takes a few seconds. So there you have it. You got you covered. We also do have different shows as well. That is the Calm African Diary Show. We do have the Pan African Bliss Show by Joby. I believe she's just finished doing the show a few minutes ago. We also do have that is the Express Show. We also do have the 54 Correspondence Show, the Rhythm Scoop Show. We also do have that is the African Today Show. I mean, there's just a lot of shows that you can get to learn new information on a daily basis. And I must apologize for the noise on the background. Well, it seems like my neighbors are never really going to evacuate anytime from now. And of course, where I'm staying, we do have a lot of business. Our premises are running on and that is on and on. So it is hard actually to, tell someone to shush, because at the end of the day, they're out there, trying to chase paper. But irrespective, I'm looking forward to having a very interesting day. And I'm quite happy today, knowing that we are on the 16th day and the month is June. I mean, guys, it was just yesterday we were on the second day of June, and I'm telling you, 2021, if you really not done something for yourself, if you really not, achieved that one thing that you really wanted to achieve, trust me, the year is gonna pass you by. You're gonna wait for 2022, and you're gonna be out there, putting out your manifestos, what you wanna do, hitting the gym, eating the right type of food, staying sane. Because let me tell you right now, staying sane is one thing that you need to get yourself. Most of the time, you get to walk on the streets, and you're like, that person is insane. No, they did not choose to be insane. It is because of the type of energy they have been, of course, allowing, they have been, of course, allowing themselves to be, attracted to. So, of course, 2021, it is the year for you to go out there and try to do the best in terms of making sure that you get to achieve what you really wanted to achieve. And today being on the 16th June, there's just a lot of things that are happening around the world. And I would love to remind us, I'd love to remind us for a fact that you do have the International Day for the African Child. Let me repeat that. On the 16th day of June, this is the day that around the world we get to celebrate the International Day of the African Child. And this does not necessarily mean that we do not get to appreciate the African child. But let me just highlight something as we get to celebrate this day. Funny thing is that this is just a day that is celebrated for 24 hours only. And come tomorrow, all the manifestos or the awareness regarding the African child will be forgotten, because that is the world we live in. But I believe it is an opportunity for both you and I, that is to the listeners, to make sure that you get to take the African child to greater levels. And there's a lot of things that the African child is going out there through. The issue with abductions, or the issue with disappearance, the issue with sex slavery, it is also affecting the African child. The issue with the African child, lacking a lot of basic needs just because the government that we have voted for isn't doing enough for the African child. For example, in remote areas in Kenya, we do have young girls not going to school because some of their parents, they still are sticking in quotes to traditions that have affected their kids. And I'm talking about traditions about early marriage. This still also gets to affect the African child. Some girls can still not go to school because every time they get to to experience their that is their monthly periods, they're not able to afford sanitary towels. But then again, we still do have the same government. They'll go in different places, donate the sanitary towel just for the PR moves, and that is it. That is enough for them, and no one is really going to take the initiative to make sure that the African child gets to benefit this. Away from that, in places like Ghana, in places like Ivory Coast, I believe the African child is going through a lot in terms of being forced to work on these cocoa farms, in terms of being forced to work on different farms, not only cocoa farms, but also the African child has been made to, that is to work on different plantations, and they are given peanuts. And I'm not saying that that they're supposed to be given a lot of money, but getting to put a child to work on a farm, it basically means that you are depriving them of their basic rights. You are making them skip a phase in their life. So of course it begins with you and me, because like I've told you, this is just a day that people get to commemorate around the world, and that is it. And of course, at the end of the day, they'll get to forget some of the manifestos that have been set aside in terms of celebrating the African child. And this does not only get to affect the African child only, but I do understand other children are affected as well. But we are focusing on the African child because I believe the African child has really been deprived a lot of privileges in the society. At Kevin, good morning. You said morning, Queen. Morning to you too, at Kevin. I do trust that you are doing okay. Let me know how your Wednesday morning is going on. And Kevin, perhaps you can tell us what you feel that the African child is lacking out there to make sure that they do have a better living conditions. Let me just repeat this to Kevin, and let me know your views regarding what should be done or what the African child is lacking in terms of making sure that their survival on earth is easy. And at Samuel, you said, hey, Calmie. Hey to you too, at Samuel. I trust that you are doing okay. Thank you so much for choosing the Blackwood Fire Nature Media for the 21st century. And I am doing, of course, I'm doing okay. I do trust that everyone else is doing okay. I'm just reminding us that you do have that we are celebrating the International Day of the African Child, which is something very special, which is something very strong that we need, of course, to be adhering to on a daily basis. Most of the time, every time I get to walk around, I get to take a look at the lives of the street urchins. Some of them, they did get to leave their homes, depending on the situation that made them to leave. Some of them, they decided, some of them, they were born there, and it has not been quite easy for them. But then again, I believe, it is upon you and me to make sure that at least they have something better that they are looking forward to. At Samuel said, glad to know you're doing fine. I hope your baby is good. Yes, Samuel, my baby is good. It is not yet out for the zillionth time. I feel like I've been pregnant for 11 years. I mean, this thing is hectic. Someone should have definitely warned me, but then here you are, they say, until you get to go through something is when you get to learn the lessons. Yes, it's hectic. I wish I could just, I don't want to break down. But anyway, thank you for the wishes. And just to proceed, guys, we do have 198 days till the end of the year. This is just a reminder that you do have 198 days to the end of the year. We do not have this 368, that is the 365 days that we are still counting, but it has been narrowed down to 198 days, guys. the moment these days are going to skip, you won't even be able to realize. I mean, there's just a lot of things that you need to basically do. And okay, Sawatamel, I believe I have answered you that. But karibuni sana to the Calmie African Diary Show. And remember, this is the Blackwood Fire Network Media for the 21st century. And of course, my name is Calmie, and this is the Calmie African Diary Show. And I am super, super thrilled getting to interact with the family. Today, at least I got myself. Yesterday was just my first show after 2 weeks, and I was just telling myself, I better not forget how to talk, because it's all about a practice. That the moment that the moment you get to forget just one thing, the moment you just get to forget one thing, or rather to not do the work that you're used to, your mind snaps. So you gotta do it on a daily basis to remind yourself that, hey, you still got it. But I appreciate everyone who is tuned to the show. And guys, remember, this is the Blackwood Fire Network Media for the 21st century. And I would love to proceed with the updates before we get to talk about the main topic of the day. And being on a Wednesday, what you got to do on the Calmie African Diary Show is that we get to talk about history. It could be about a community. It could be about, of course, a community or a tribe. It could be about just something that did get to happen that is ancient, or something that has got to happen, of course, in our society. And this does not only mean that it is something African, it is also something that might have happened in the diaspora as well. So of course, we get to talk about African issues, and also issues that are affecting our families in the diaspora. So to start with, I'd like to take us a little bit all the way to Mozambique. Just last month, we have been talking about how Mozambique has been hit by, that is, how Mozambique has been hit by, of course, by the cyclone from time to time. We've seen people being eradicated from their homes. That is by force, by default, that you need to leave your house because you no longer cannot get to stay there. And guys, if you remember some time back, I believe it was last year, we had talked about the Beira Hotel, which was a grand hotel, and of course, it lost its meaning because now people decided to make it a home for themselves. And Beira Hotel, of course, was affected by the cyclone, and as a result, it did get to sink. So there has been a lot of negative information coming from Mozambique. The people of Mozambique dealing with cyclone. I just hope that we do not have someone else there from the family. But if we do, stay strong, and of course, look for not even higher grounds, because that is not going to help. Just you just got to relocate, because sometimes I keep telling myself that if I did get find myself living in a place that we do have a lot of flooding taking place, a lot of maybe hunger taking place, that is a drought and so on. Honestly, even if they say that you need to be strong to the where you're coming from, my friend, I'm leaving that place and going to look for greener pastures. There's no way I'm going to survive, or rather to suffer, for the sake of being that is for the sake of being for the sake of being, of course, strong, just to maintain at some place. But irrespective, in Mozambique right now, so if you do have someone in Mozambique, of course, get to warn them. So right now in Mozambique, we do have the biggest mobile company. Of course, let me just say it is the biggest because it is assumed to be the first mobile phone that is to operate in Mozambique. And right now in Mozambique, if you get to use the SIM card that is called a TM cell, then you get to risk not to be able to communicate with other people, because the TM cell company has not been able to pay their debt for the longest time possible. And as a result, you do have, if you have a family in Mozambique, then you get to know that they'll not be able to communicate with you any day, anytime. And hello, Keith.
How you doing, Calmie? Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, Keith. I'm doing fine.
How's the weather over there in Nairobi?
The weather is a little bit chilly out here. It's extremely chilly, actually, in Nairobi.
Mm. Oh,
Your
boy.
voice has
Boy.
changed. Keith, your
My
voice
voice
has
has
changed.
changed.
Yes?
Yeah, I'm just waking. Yeah, I'm just waking up. It's like 6, 7 in the morning over here. What time is it
I was
over in Kenya?
I was I was wondering if I'm still talking to Keith, or that is a replica of you.
What time is it over in Nairobi about what, about 3 o'clock,
No. In
two
Nairobi right
o'clock?
now it is 31 minutes past 1 p.m.
Okay, okay, it's 1:30.
Yeah.
All right.
Hmm.
Mm-mm-mm.
How is the weather there, Keith?
It's actually nice. It's actually nice. It's not raining, so it's pretty warm.
Hmm.
I'm over in
All right. Uh-huh.
I'm over in Wilmington, North Carolina right now.
All right. That's nice. Keith, when I started the show, I was just updating us that today we are celebrating the International Day for the African Child. And I believe that this International Day for the African Child will just be celebrated for the few hours remaining before the day comes to the end. And all of the manifestos that have been set aside, to make sure that the African child is, living better will be forgotten. And I had just asked this question on the group. What do you think should be done in terms of making sure that the African child gets to live a comfortable life on earth?
Well, things fly won't leave me alone. I don't got, I don't got no, but I don't got no perfumes or nothing on. um,
Hmm.
Probably education,
Yeah.
getting secure education, Cammy, I would say, getting the right, proper education. What do you think?
That is that's correct. I agree with you. A lot of children have been denied the privilege to education, and that is why some of them they are still working on plantations on a daily basis instead of getting access to school. Because at the end of the day, they say that when you get to educate the African mind, you get, of course, to take them to another level. Because at the end of the day, we need to learn the basic things in education, apart from other, apart from other basic needs like proper food and clothing. Also education gets to matter. And I was just talking about the situation in Mozambique right now, that if you do have someone in Mozambique, you will not be able to communicate with them because the TMCL, of course, company has not been able, to pay its debt, which is it is believed to be a debt of $9.6 million dollars. And of course, right now the TMCL is out of service. So that is the situation in Mozambique. Remember, Mozambique has been affected with flooding for the longest time. We do have other mobile phone providers, the likes of Vodacom, the likes of Movitel, apart from TMCell. So that is just an update from Mozambique. But Keith, I'd like to take us a little bit to what is happening in Malawi before we get to venture to the main topic of the day. But before that, let me just read this comment by Samuel. You said it's
All right.
5:31. Yes? All right. I thought I heard you say something. Let me just read this comment by Samuel. You said, I would stay ensuring they receive a proper nutrition after education. You will say, I believe you said you will say. Yes, it's Samuel. Samuel, I agree with you. Also, proper nutrition is something also good after education also. That is, I believe it goes hand in hand with education, because if a child is not fed well, then their concentration levels in school is definitely going to be messed up. I mean, I remember some of the time when I joined a boarding school, and trust me, my mama took me to boarding school at a very early age. I believe at around 9 years. Yes, at 9 years, I was already in boarding school. So it was hard for me. She would get to do shopping too for me, and including foodstuffs and things for survival. But I mean, 9 years, what do you know? Most of the time, the seniors will definitely get to take our shoppings. Maybe you have a relative, or you have a friend or a neighbor who is a senior, and your parents get to entrust you to them because they'll be like, they'll take care of you. They used to eat my food stuff, my biscuits, my milk, and things like that. And it was hard to survive. So you're going to class, your food has been eaten, and the concentration level is just basically low. So Samuel, I agree with you on that they also need to receive a proper nutrition. I would like to talk about the situation in Malawi. We do have the issue with of course, this is some good news because in Malawi, rather not only in Malawi but in Africa, we have been dealing with the issue of that is of a cervical cancer. If I start listing names of some of the ladies who have succumbed to cervical cancer, I'll not be able to finish. And it is not easier to detect it because most people just assume that they are normal. And most people have not gone for that test. And okay, yes, I might be guilty also, including me, because most of the time you're like, I'm just basically doing okay. So you might assume going for a test, knowing that you are fine. But of course, right now, I'm just proud that right now, I just did get to go for the test indirect because they have to test you. And most ladies have not, decided to take this awareness and get themselves tested. So in Malawi right now, they have come about with a proper way of knowing if you do have cervical cancer. And remember, getting to be tested for cervical cancer is just not so easy. It is believed to be an expensive process, and it is most of the time it is believed to be for the privileged. Keith, can you hear me? All right, as we are waiting on a kit, it is believed most of the time for having a cervical, that is most of the time having a cervical, that is a test, cervical cancer test, most of the time it is believed to be for the privileged. So that is why most people are affected by this. So that is why most people would rather not go and get this test done. But in Malawi, we do have some good news from there because right now, they have come about with a cheaper way that even the underprivileged can be able to know if they are ailing from cervical cancer. And the good news about cervical cancer if it is detected at an early age, you can be able, to like treat it, as opposed to you living with it only to realize at the final stage when it has already messed you up. So they've come away with a test that is called the vinegar pap smear. That is the vinegar pap smear is the new way of detecting if you do have cervical cancer. And it is just basically used by dipping the some cotton ball, there is some cotton ball in the vinegar solution, and they'll get to apply it on your cervical area. And if it turns white, then it means that there are chances of you having cancer. So it is easy to treat someone as an early age as this. And I just do love the fact that this is a new way of getting to deal with cervical cancer. And also I love it that the underprivileged can also get to of course to get to be treated as an early age, as opposed to waiting for only those who are privileged to get to have this of course opportunity of getting to know if they do have cancer or not. And Keith, can you hear me?
I I hear you. Can you
All
hear me?
right. Yes, I can hear you, Keith. What is your thoughts on the fact that in Malawi right now we do have a new way of detecting a cervical cancer, that is by using
Well,
the vinegar pap smear, because the cervical cancer has really claimed a lot of women's
I never
lives.
been.
What is your
Well,
thoughts on that?
I never been in. Well, first of all, Kim, I never been in
Mm-hmm,
Malawi, so um, I don't know the conditions. All these cancers come about
mm-hmm,
with the environment being tampered with, with these chemicals. But it would only what you go back in history, these all these cancers didn't exist 200
mm-hmm,
years ago. So where do these cancers come from? As far as cervical cancer, um,
mm-hmm.
I don't know the conditions to which these women are living in, and what's caused. Instead of being treated for, I like to what's causing the cancer.
Yeah,
What is causing the cancer for them? Because cancer is not normal. We've been told
true.
that it's normal condition. It's not. There were no cancers in the world 200 years ago. So what is the start of all these cancers and where they coming from? I'm sure just
That's
treating it.
absolutely.
I'm glad that they can treat them. All right. I'm
Mm-hmm,
glad they can treat the cancer. But where does it come from? What is the root causes of the cancer? I don't want to just treat the cancer
true. Mm-hmm.
because it's going to
I
come back
agree.
again, right? The
Mm-hmm.
women still going to have it.
I
That's
agree
not a.
with you on that, Kit. I agree with you. Thank you for your sentence regarding that, because we need, of course, to know the root cause of cancer. Because if we do not know the root cause of something, then as much as we can be talking about treating it, as much as we can be talking about raising awareness, then still people will still be on the dark because they do not know what are the causes, such that they can abstain from the causes. And Kit is definitely right to say that. a lot of us have been told, that cancer is just something normal, that it's just something normal like any other disease. But then
Not
again,
normal.
yeah, but then again, most of the time you get to realize that this gets to come out of the type of foods that you eat, the type of cosmetic products that you get to use, because some of these products, they do get to contain some there is some not nutrients, actually. They get to contain some products or ingredients that do get to affect you and get to lead to cancer. So I believe also the Malawian government, amongst other African governments, should make sure that they get to educate the people on some of the causes of cancer, irrespective of them coming out and about with this new solution. And I'd love to move to the main topic of the day. And the main topic of the day is in regards to one community. Remember, on the Calmie African Diary Show, we always talk about history, and today we are taking you. In Swahili, we say moja kwa moja. That is a step by step, all the way to a unique tribe, and they are called the Nyakyusa people. The Nyakyusa people, they are located in southern Tanzania and also in northern Malawi. I believe Keith has been talking about there's nothing like a northern or southern. That is definitely correct. And so let me just say they are located in Tanzania and Malawi. And one unique thing about them is that they are the Bantu people, and they are believed to have to have migrated from the Great Lakes of the Great Lakes of Rwanda, Uganda, and Tanzania. And
Yeah,
the word
you want
Nyakyusa,
you want to say
yes,
Victoria. You want to say Victoria. What's the real name, Candy?
yes, yes.
What's the real name? What's the real name? It's not Victoria. What's the real name of the lake? What's the
Uh,
African name?
Okay, the African name, I do not, you got me there, Keith. I do not know the African name. I'm part of the group that just believed what you are told, that this is Victoria. I believe it has some deeper name, and some deeper African name.
Of course it does. Of course it
Mhm.
does. That wasn't the name. That name was only. That name was given 150 years ago. what's the What's the real name? I don't even know the real name of it, but it's the real. It's a real name. That ain't the real name of it.
Mhm.
There's no
Definitely.
African name that Lake Victoria.
Absolutely, Kit. There's no African name like Lake Victoria, because I believe it had its own traditional name. I do not know the traditional name. I think some time
Or
back I had stumbled upon it, but it's more deeper. It's more deeper than that. So let's just, I do not want to call it Lake Victoria, but of course the people had a name for it.
yeah, the
So
Great
they did
Lakes.
get to, exactly. So let me just say the Great Lake, if that is okay with you, Kit.
Yeah, that's good.
All right. So the word Ikusa is also it goes hand in hand with the Arwandi's name, which basically means dignity. So they are referred to be the people of dignity. But I think this referring to them as the people of dignity is a little bit controversial, because as we'll get to proceed with the show, we'll get to take a look at some of the things that they are, some of the things that the Nyakyusa people get to do that definitely does not get to dignify them at the end of the day. So one thing is that they are believed to be the descendants of one Nubian queen who goes by the name Nyanseba. And if this was not coming all the way from Tanzania and Malawi, I'll get to relate to some of these names, because they just sound more of my native name. Because my native name, most of them, they are long, and they get to articulated more like the same, even in terms of the traditional way of life. We do have some similarities there, but of course we are Bantus. I'm from a Bantu community, so that is why we do have the similarity. So they are believed to be descendants of a Nubian queen who was abducted by the herdsman. But then again, different communities have different stories regarding their originality, and I would not like to dwell more on that. So I'll just love to proceed to what is making them more unique. And Keith, Did you know that in terms of the social life of the in terms of the social life of that is Nyakyusa people, is that if you are a woman, you are required to be married. Of course, 10 years younger than the men. You are required to be married 10 years younger than the men. That is how it is in the Nyakyusa tribe. And you are supposed to live at your husband's residence. Of course, this gets to happen to many community. And another thing is that, and of course, this is quite disturbing because we have been talking about some cultural practices that do get, that should be done away with. Because in the Nyakyusa tribe, women were not given any title. I do not know if this is some sort of a brainwash because we do have different, authors writing this, but according to them, women were not given any form of a leadership. So they had literally nothing. So if you are a woman in the Nyakyusa tribe and you are going through something, you do not have anyone representing you and coming out and about and talking about some of the issues that are affecting you. So you can imagine the lives of the women in the Nyakyusa tribe, how it was that they were just allowed, or rather they were just expected to live to the rules of the community. And this is some of the things that, basically I feel like they are making the African woman, to be shallow minded, making the African woman believe that she cannot do a thing or two for herself because of just how the society has set these things to be. And also another thing is that boys were isolated from the men because they posed a threat to the men, because boys were allowed to marry women of their choice. So you can imagine that you are separated from your dad, and the next thing is that you want to marry maybe the lady that your dad is is wooing. So of course that was some sort of competition. But irrespective of that, of course you are also required as a boy to bring home 2 or 3 friends every time you are going to eat. And failure to do this, because this used to make the parents proud, failure to do this, your dad will get to give you some good whooping because you did not come home with friends. At some point they'll get to spear you. And I get to say that those people who are, we do have people in the community who just really love, being by themselves. Personally, I think I love being solo. I think I just love having my own space and minding my own things. As you get to grow up, you get to shed off some type of lifestyle because you're like having too many friends does not get to help at some point. So you can imagine if you are from the Nyakyusa tribe, you will definitely get to learn yourself some serious swooping from this. And these are some of the things that I believe, do not get, to like, should have been done away with, because some people just did get to love their space. And Keith, I want to ask you in terms of some of the social lives of the Nyakyusa people, whereby women were dominated by men. Do you believe that, or rather, what are your views regarding the fact that still this gets to happen even in the modern society? And I'm not trying to sound all feminism and things like that, but what are your thoughts regarding the issue whereby living in a society where women are dominated by men? I know you're a man, but let me know what are your views regarding this? Do you think that this just should just be the way of life, that women should just be dominated by men and that is it? We should just get to accept it and move
No.
on.
Well, of course I don't believe that. I told you I don't believe none of that. How you doing,
Mm-hmm,
John Mosquito? How's the weather over in the UK, brother? Good afternoon to you.
mm-hmm,
No, of course not. Of course not. That's we have a society that works like that. That's why you're mired in poverty. Whenever you subjugate your women,
mm-hmm,
uh, your community suffers. You know. So no, but I don't know how long the tradition goes back, how long they've been doing it for. So
mm-hmm,
you'd have to slowly interject a new way of life into that community. So you'd have to
mm-hmm,
empower those women to take a lead position within that community.
mm-hmm,
And then you might have some, of course, when you have those kind of backward communities, especially amongst the Arabs, I spent a lot of time in with so-called Middle East. There's no such thing, that backward culture
true.
is very repressive. Women were not allowed to drive. When I was there, I didn't know anything about that. Women were not allowed to drive. They weren't allowed to leave their own house
Mm-hmm,
unless there was a man with them to give them permission. They weren't allowed to. They weren't allowed to do anything. It was crazy.
True.
So that's why, a lot of Arab countries are backwards. So, and you don't know that until you go over there that it's really that bad. And they will fight you tooth and nail to keep it that way too. That's why they
Mm-hmm.
right here blowing up shit, screaming out Allah, Akbar, all that ridiculous nonsense. So,
That's true.
nah,
That's true. Chris.
nah, I don't agree on none of that crazy shit. No.
Mhm. Thank you for your sentiments, Kit. I highly agree with you on that. That is why we do have a lot of, and you've given a very good example in terms of Arab countries. I understand that in some Arab countries, you're not allowed. You're not allowed as a woman. Whether I think as a woman, if you are pregnant, you're not allowed to even drive around. You're not allowed to play. I think it's soccer. There's just a lot of limitations that women are given in these
Well,
countries,
you still get
and
the public.
in some,
You still get the
yes.
public beat women, and certain Arab countries still get the public beat women. Cane them as they
Mm-hmm.
call. Called cane. You can publicly beat a woman in Arab countries publicly.
Yeah.
I'm not talking about smack her or hit her. I mean beat her. Beat.
Mm-hmm.
You can publicly beat a woman. It's
Jeez.
absolutely crazy.
Boy, we're fighting.
Yeah, you should be
We
fighting
are
the woman.
fighting.
You need to be fighting. You need to be fighting. But when you're growing up in that system,
Mm-hmm.
you're taught not to fight back, and so the women don't fight back. They just cane like it'll blow your mind. It's like wow. Like I said, when I was there years ago, 50 years ago, when I was in the
Mm-hmm.
Marine Corps, we actually stopped the incident, and we got chewed out by our commander that we're not supposed to involve ourselves in international affairs because it can
Mm-hmm.
cause a rift between America and these other countries. Because we saw men just beating up on women with these sticks, and so we were trying to stop it. They said, no, that's their culture. You gotta let them. They said we were told to allow these men to whip these women's asses and act like there was nothing wrong. Just walk by.
What?
Yeah, they was
I'm
hitting them
sure
in the
you
head
were
with canes.
disturbed.
I was like, wow, this is crazy.
Mm-hmm.
And the women just hold their hand up. They get hit in the face and back in the head.
Mm-hmm.
They're like, shit, this is wild. So, hey, if I was
Mm-hmm.
an Arab woman, I had to escape. I got to get out that country. But like in Saudi Arabia, they're not allowed to drive. They can't even drive
Mm-hmm.
a car. Not without a man.
Mm-hmm.
They're not allowed to drive. They're not
Jeez.
allowed to go.
Mm-hmm.
You can't even go to the grocery store. Let's say you decide,
What?
I'm gonna get up and go to the grocery store. They said, no, no, you're not. Not without a man. It's
Mm-mm. That
crazy
is
as
too
cat
much.
shit.
It's crazy, Kit.
Yeah.
I'm
So
just shocked at this. I'm just shocked at the information that you're giving me. And this is, trying to change the mindset of this woman is really going to take ages, because this is what she has been seeing her grandmother being going through, what her mama has been going through, and so to name the descendants, and it's hard. She'll definitely get to pass the same to her daughter. And I hate it. I hate it that they get to go through this, and I'm just so glad that I'm in my own African country. Because let me tell you, as if you get to just beat me in public, I do not care how strong you are as a man, but I have to make sure that I have to leave you some mark that you won't get to forget. I can imagine some of these women, they definitely they do not have any say, irrespective of how right they are. I mean, this is quite disturbing. This is just
well, when
disregarding a woman.
when the African women go over there as domestics, Cammy, when the
Mm-hmm,
African women go over there as domestics, they get raped. They get their
mm-hmm,
passports taken from Kenya to Uganda to Nigeria.
yeah.
Now when they go, their passports get taken. They get raped
Mm-hmm,
and beat, and there's no help coming from the African government. So those African women are stranded in Saudi Arabia, Qatar,
yeah.
Jordan, all these, and they're highly abused
That's
just because they
definitely
don't know.
true.
They
That
think they're
is
going to, yeah, they think they're going there for greener pastures. I seen the
mm-hmm,
other Kenyan young lady that was in the African Tiger talking about her friend. Her friend is one of those domestics over there in I want to say Saudi Arabia, and the family was talking about killing her, and
mm-hmm,
she said the Kenyan government was prostituting them out at the embassy.
mm-hmm.
Like wow. So
Jeez.
she was crying about how can you be proud to be from Kenya and your own government trying to prostitute you to these Arab men instead of getting your way back to your house, way back home. So they need to know when you go to these Arab nations, that's the culture, and that should be taught. I think is it Nigeria or Ghana? Somebody outlawed it. They no, nope, 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 and then you women going over there no more.
Wow, that
These
is
Arab
nice.
countries, you're gonna be raped.
Because
You're gonna be beat. Go ahead,
go on,
go
Keith.
ahead, Cammy.
All right,
No, no,
I agree
I
with you.
interrupt you. Go ahead.
Yes, I agree with you on those strong points that you have mentioned. And most of the time, you get to realize that our own government, they are the same cartels who are actually benefiting from Saudi Arabia. Because for the longest
Yep.
time, Keith, we've been having the mainstream media covering these stories. We've been having parents being called to the airport to just collect the bodies of their beloved daughters, of their sons. They've been seeing the disturbing videos of their sons, being tortured to death, and no one is doing anything, because this is a country that is formed by not believing that a woman can be able to do this. This is a country that has been formed in terms of disrespecting other people. So if they do not get to appreciate their own women, of course they definitely cannot get to appreciate of course women from other continents. And that is why our women are really going through a lot. I've seen disturbing images and videos of victims talking about how they were. I mean, there's just a lot of things that is so disturbing about some of the things that they did get to go through. General Mosquito, hello. You've stayed. I think the women have to always walk behind the men in those Arab countries. Most definitely, I'm not shocked, because if they're not even allowed to go to the grocery stores alone, then they cannot walk in front of a man. And if said, on the other hand, some women like to be dominated. Irrespective of some women liking to be dominated, why would you allow yourself to be treated like the earth that belongs to these Arab men? It is a no-no for me. And a kid, that is why most of the time you get to see that I've seen some friends actually dating Arabs, and they'll be like, they're not going back, they're alone, because that person to shoot you, it is in seconds. I've
Never
had a
ends up
friend who
well.
actually,
And
yeah, I've
never
had,
ends up well. You had a friend that was dating one.
mm-hmm. I've
What
had a
happened?
friend, yes.
Oh, I'm saying, what happened with your friend?
I'm saying I've had a friend who sometimes back, she told me that they had gone out for a party. This is just someone they'll actually get to spoil with the most expensive things, but get to just entertain someone for a second. She told me she ain't going back there anymore, because they reached home. He went violent on her, even removed a gun. She never knew he had a gun hidden, of course, under the bed. I think someone maybe near the mattress. He brandished the gun at her and told her the next time she's gonna do that, he's definitely going to blow her brains. And that is the moment, Keith, you just have to humble yourself and play dumb and just cry the entire night out, just to make
Well,
this person not to shoot
you
you.
gotta humble yourself. When you got no other people's culture. I told you about education. When you're not educated and you don't know other people's culture and history towards you, especially
Yeah.
women, you put yourself in dangerous situation. Because you think you're
True.
chasing money. Oh, I'm living the posh life. He's got money.
Hmm.
You got your fucking mind. This man historically can't stand your ass. and,
True.
and, oh, and if you're not giving sex up the first day, he's going to do heinous damage to you. So
Absolutely.
you
I agree on
only
that
one
part.
that's
Absolutely.
only one that's being naive is you, because you don't know. You're the naive one, not him.
Hmm.
That's why he pulled that gun out on your friend. That's why he pulled that gun out. I'll blow your damn head off, and he meant it. He said
Hmm.
that.
It's a crazy kid. I mean, I've just it's true. She many people do not want to dig information about some of these tribes, and as a result, they got themselves pretty much messed up. And I can say, think from the time she walked out of that relationship, she actually did get. I think she almost left social media for a while. She has never told me what she was going through, but I believe she had really seen a lot in that relationship, because one minute in the house. The person is treating you like a slave. In the public, you're out there, playing all happy because you got all the designers that you want. But that is just how some people like it to be. But I'm not going to put myself through that for the sake of some
But
for the sake of
but
some
the designer
Gabbana and
jeans,
things like that.
Yeah. Your mind is so messed up. You were about putting some damn homosexual name on a bag. Don't you go?
Yeah.
I got this homosexual person name on my bag that makes me better than you. So I'm gonna go through all this abuse to get that name on
Mhm.
the bag. Hell no.
Exactly. They think, and to some people, Keith, they believe that when you get to don designers, then you're living the posh life. There's actually nothing wrong in wearing just neat clothes, but of course, you are neat such that you don't get
Yeah.
end up looking homeless. To some people, they believe that wearing all these designers, it is all about looking posh and so on. But just to proceed on that, in terms of the Nyakyusa people, remember we are talking about the Nyakyusa people. I believe the K is silent. That is the Nyakyusa people, Nyakyusa people, Nyayusa people. And we are just talking about some of their cultural beliefs and some of their way of lives. And I just want to highlight on something also here that is disturbing, Kip. Um, just like any other community, we do have different communities believing in their own God, which is very much okay to believe in. But there's one thing that in this community, if you are a lady and you have an issue of barrenness, then there are some consequences that you have to go through. They get to blame it on you. They get to give you the hardest time on that. And I was just wondering, in this community, not like you have a doctor who gets to examine your man and get to know if he is the issue. Most of the time, you as the lady is blamed. And Kit, this is
But
also happening if,
most
yes?
time you don't know signs no more. Most
Mm-hmm,
sadly, Africans are put there. You don't know signs. It's the man that
mm-hmm,
you. If a woman's not getting pregnant, most 9 out of 10 it's the man's fault. At least in
mm-hmm,
West society, we know that. So they go
mm-hmm.
get a sperm count. It's not the woman. That's the African doesn't know a size no more. Not the woman that's bearing. It's the man's sperm that's no damn good. But they don't know.
True.
All right, woman, you're not pregnant. Yeah, because your sperm sucks. That's why. Not, not the woman, Cannon.
Tell them.
Yeah, that's the problem. But since since you since you since you since you now become a backward people,
Mm-hmm,
moronic, you want to blame the woman. It's not the woman, it's you. 9 out of 10, it's the woman, it's the man that has a messed up sperm count, not the woman.
mm-hmm.
But the woman
Absolutely.
doesn't even know that no more either. The woman says, "Okay, it's my fault. It's my fault." You don't know it's not your fault. Nothing you can do, and you'll be there crying, blaming yourself. And it's the man's penis who don't work right, not you.
Mm-hmm. I agree with you, Kate, because we do
Man's
have a
got a
lot
low
of
sperm
women.
count.
We do have a lot of women who have been
Look,
called names, who have been called witches. They've been just told a lot of hurting things because they're not able to produce children, only for them to realize, we've had women who have actually been told that they are
witches.
barren until they decide to play
Oh my
outside
God.
their marriage and come to realize that, yeah, I can actually give birth. So the problem is the man. But now you're telling me
Exactly.
you
Because it was the
cannot tell the
man,
man.
not the woman. Exactly.
Exactly. Now you
Exactly.
cannot
And they
tell
play
the
outside
man.
the marriage.
Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. It was the man, not you. Most times it's the man.
Exactly. Now you have to lie to the man that these are his kids and that is it. I can imagine the number of men out here raising kids who are not their own because they say that a women can take the lie to the grave. I mean, yes, I can basically take that lie to the grave because if I was not able to produce and you are the problem, trust me, you are going to give me a hectic time. So that is why we do have a lot of women out here, going out of their marriage and actually
That,
eventually that is
that's
being
why.
able to say,
That's why. That's why it's called. That's why it's called Mama's baby, Daddy's maybe. Mama's baby, Daddy's maybe.
Uh, absolutely correct. I agree with you on that because a lot of in the Nyakyusa community, women there are really going or rather having a hard time. And before we wind up on the that is on the Nyakyusa community in that is in Tanzania and also in Malawi, they are also indulging in economic activities such like a crop rotation. I'm talking about planting crops like millet, sorghum, bananas, and they get to use these crops for different barter trades. They're not really good in business, but they get to indulge in a barter trade, and they also get to make a beer. They also get to use some of their products for hospitality. And it's very much common, to have the likes of a beer being taken, that is traditional beer being consumed in this community, because most of the time we do have, initiation ceremonies are taking place, different types of ceremonies are taking place, which is very much, of course, African. But I also loved one thing, apart from the disadvantage of this group, I loved one thing about it, is that it was the role of the men, that is the men, the father and the sons, to make sure that, in terms of cultivating and hoeing land, it was their role, not the role of the women. At least here you are saved. Women here, at least they are saved. That men used to take 3 to 4 hours, that is a day, to clear land and to hoe land and to make sure that it is ready for planting. And let me tell you, I did agriculture back then in high school, and I just basically had to pay someone to help me clear the land, because let me tell you, you're just given a tiny space. You're actually given a tiny space, for your project, to like a plant or maybe beans, because that was the easiest thing that we could all agree on. And let me tell you, this land that you are given, it was land that no one has ever tilled before. It was land that no one has ever really taken their time to like dig on this space. So getting to remove the weeds, getting to uproot some of the stalks, I tried, and my hands had a lot of what is the English terminology? Anyway, it had a lot of marks, and it was even hard to hold a pen. So let me tell you, the issue with the tilling land is not easy. I said it is not my cup of tea. If I am to indulge in farming in the near future, I'm definitely going to use machines, or I'm definitely going to employ someone, to get to do that for me, because the issue with having all these tiny sharp bumps is hectic. So you can imagine, for the women getting to do that, you're maybe from giving birth, you're forced to go till land, or you're forced to also come back home, prepare a meal for you. My friend, it is not my cup of a tea. I do not manifest that. That is one thing I've been telling myself, that hardship should not be my cup of tea at any point, irrespective of how much money you have. I'm not going to till land. I can help with the planting, but also not the tilling part, because that part is definitely hectic. At Samuel, you said land clearing can be a hassle. Exactly. Tell them, Samuel, it can be a hassle getting to clear, the maybe the trees that maybe were planted there some time back, the crops that were there, the weeds that were there, getting to interact with some weird animals that have already made it home. It's also something that I cannot manifest myself going through again. And of course, on a virgin land, it is basically quite hard to deal with it. So that is all about that is all about the Nyakyusa people, all the way from that is all the way from Tanzania and Malawi. And like I've told you, this is a Bantu speaking community. And remember, on every Wednesday we get to talk about, we get to talk about culture. And today we have focused on the Nyasua. Do I get to call it? Why am I calling it Nyasua? Okay, Nyakyusa. Only the people from there can get to articulate it correct. But we have talked about the Nyakyusa people from Tanzania and Malawi. And of course, we are almost coming to the end of the show. We always say that kilicho na mwanzo lazima kiwe na mwisho. Guys, in Nairobi, it's very cold. I know if you come to Nairobi, you'll be like, what is Calmie talking about? This ain't cold. But here, we're just used to this being so cold. I just had to like turn the heater on a little bit and get to like, marinate myself a little bit, because it is indeed cold. But we are coming to the end of the show, and I really want to appreciate Samuel, at General Mosquito. I also want to appreciate we also did get to have at Kevin, who did get to join the show. And to those who are listening to the show, we really appreciate you. And of course, as we are almost winding up the show, also I want to appreciate Keith for tuning in to the show. This is the Calmie African Diary Show. Someone have said, me and some friends nearly burnt down our college crop division when you were land clearing once. What the heck? I mean, I'm so sorry at Samuel. It is hectic actually in terms of clearing land. Some people believe that getting to burn the vegetation and then starting on to plant crops, that is also something that they can get to do. But this type of farming, Samuel, it's not really advisable, because they say at some point you can get to kill some some lives of some animals. But then again, what are they doing there? But anyway, I just don't want to sound mean to them. And they also say that this type of farming gets, to affect some of the nutrients from the soil, because we do have some animals that get, to give nutrients to the soil, and you really need this for that is for farming. And we said it was a summer job from the college. We were making charcoal. I love to know how to make charcoal. Actually, let me tell you, Samuel, charcoal business is the legit thing right now. If you are in charcoal business, you are having some good people, because charcoal right now, it is expensive, and we do have the government taxing on that. Though sometime we did have the defense forces from Kenya in Somalia stealing charcoal from there and getting to sell this. And as a result, we did have a millionaires emerge from that. Charcoal business is something definitely so good. Samuel, sorry, I'm just so glad you did not get to end up burning, of course, you did not end up, burning, of course, nearby houses, because it could have been double havoc. And you said, no, we were using chainsaws, not a slash and burn. Oh, at least that one is better. Samuel, here in Africa, nobody's going to give you a chainsaw unless it is a big project. You're going to be given a slash, go out there, clear a hoe and a djembe, and the rest of it, before you realize it, you're just fatigued. You might even collapse there. So this is just not a task for everyone. This is a task for the strong ones. And as we almost come to the end of the show, I really appreciate that we have learned a lot, and I also appreciate Samuel for giving us reviews regarding this. And I'd love to finish with the situation that is happening in South Africa, whereby in South Africa we do have diplomats, that is the diplomats from Lesotho and Malawi. They have been kicked out of South Africa. And the reason as why they have been kicked out of South Africa, it is because they have been importing alcohol and getting to sell it, of course, to the pubs there in South Africa. And they have been evading taxes. So you can imagine them using their diplomatic, cover to get to do this. I mean, trust me, if I was a diplomat, I'm going to walk on your heads. Let me tell you, I'm going to walk on your heads. Because in Kenya, I see, diplomats, how they get, to control things, how they get to just go away with any crime. And diplomats, the plates for their cars, it is always red. So whenever you get to see a red car, you know that, wahala, this na be money na. So every time you get to see diplomats, I've seen them do mistakes, do crimes, and just get to walk away scot-free with it. But in South Africa right now, they have sent away these diplomats, and more are going to be sent away home, because they have been indulging in illegal trade. So you can imagine the amount of money they have been, that is the amount of millions they have been bagging from their trade. And we also have, of course, they have been given actually 3 days to leave the country with their family. I cannot imagine leaving, a country where you're given all the privileges and going back to home to start from zero. Because being a diplomat in any country, you definitely living the life. That is how it is. In Nairobi, you get to see them from time to time, living in posh places, getting to enjoy everything posh, and definitely, who wouldn't want that? But right now, I believe more diplomats, it is believed that approximately 200 diplomats are going to be sent back home, to their country, because of indulging in illegal sale of liquor. Remember, liquor some time back, it had been banned from South Africa. And to them, they have been avoiding, paying a tax. And let me read this. As someone said, we cleared 14 acres. What you is wrong? We were not given an acre in high school. We were just given it's not even close to an hectare. It's just something so tiny, just to get to. I think let me give it approximately. Let me measure it in meters. If it is measured in meters, I believe you're given something like 500. Not 500, not in meters. Feet. Let me measure it in feet. Maybe 500 feet. You get to dig that place. Of course, it's not something big. So you can imagine, Samuel. You better have made a lot of money from that, because 14 hectares is not something easy. But that is the update from South Africa. The smuggling of alcohol has landed some diplomats, of course, to lose their jobs, and of course to lose their diplomatic cover, because they have been granted, or rather they have been declared to be persona non grata in South Africa, and they have been given 3 days to evacuate. We are, of course, coming to the end of the show. Remember, this has been the Black Hot Fire Network medium for the 21st century, and you can get logged onto www.blackhotfirenetwork.com. And once you are logged in, you can watch these videos. You can proceed and get to like the videos, share the videos. You can also proceed and get that is to listen to the music. You can get to read the blogs that do get, of course, to be on our website. And last but not least, you can also get to donate at www.blackhotfirenetwork.com, and you can get to support the stream. I really, really appreciate everyone for tuning in. We will get to interact on other shows that do get to follow. My name is Calmie, and this has been the Calmie African Diary Show. Thank you so much, and do have a good day. Remember, it is the international it is the International African Day for the African child. Of course, it is the International Day for the African child, and let us do the most in making sure that the African child is not left behind. Also, you do have only you do have only 198 days to the end of the year, so make sure to do the most. Make sure to get to fulfill some of the achievements that you basically want to fulfill. Thank you so much, and do have a good day. My name is Kami, and it has been a pleasure interacting with the family.